This is Lauren Fogelman, coach of champions with ExpertSportsPerformance.com. Work with high-achieving athletes, coaches, and teams for winning results. Today's topic is how coaches motivate athletes to win. I went ahead and took all the guesswork out of it because having highly motivated athletes is like a coach's dream come true. In fact, those athletes increase buy-in, follow through, and they get better results. So let's go ahead and go through the 10-step checklist here on what you can do to really see whether your athletes are fully in or they need a little bit more of a boost from you. The first thing is vision. Everything starts with the vision. They have to have a clear, vivid, compelling vision of where they want to go. What is it that they're aiming for? And the clearer it is, the absolute better. After vision, go on to meaning. And a lot of times you'll hear athletes talk about this broad global thing that's driving them. Well, the best meanings are very, very personal. So the more that you can coach your athletes on creating a really personal meaning about why they're pushing themselves, why they want to compete, the more they're going to have buy-in. And then we go to outcome. Now, outcome is athletes feeling that if they put in the effort, there's going to be some payoff. Too often, when I first start working more closely with an athlete, I hear about how they go ahead and pull back, decide not to give it their best effort because they don't have any chance of winning. That's not going to help them ever stand on top of the podium. What you want to do is show them by putting in their best effort each and every time, it really gets them closer to being on top of the podium and claiming that space. Then we go to conflict. Let's face it, athletes are busy, and sometimes a conflict exists where they think that if they go ahead and put more effort, time, energy into their sport, they have to give up something else. Now that might be true, but as a coach, it's really helpful if you can help them figure out where that resistance is, look at it, and see if there's a way to turn it around. So instead of it being an either or, you can find the and. They can be able to be fully engaged in their sport, but they don't necessarily have to give this up either. After that is results. The bottom line is that most people are really pushed when there's immediacy. They're more likely to do something that has a 24-hour deadline than something that has a 12-month deadline. So what can you do to really have short milestones so they can see the results of their efforts? Then we go over to influence, because a lot of times they want to know if they put in the effort, does it really even matter? Are they really the most important person on the team? Or if they go ahead and do this, does it have any impact when you look at the whole thing? Because sometimes some competitions are not as important as those really important ones that happen at the end of the season. But to recognize that every time they're putting in effort, there is going to be an impact. They are influencing the way that they show up, their mental toughness, their mindset, and whether they really have it to go the full distance or whether they go ahead and pull out when it gets really tough. Then their support. Most athletes don't want to be a lone ranger feeling like they have the burden of everything on their shoulders. As a coach, show them where you're supporting them, where you're there for them and you want them to win. Then it's time. Time management is a biggie for all of us. Yes, we are all busy people. A lot of times there's inefficiency in someone's schedule or in relationships. Help them figure out where those time wasters are, whether it's how they're managing their schedule, relationships that are taking a lot of energy, or things they're doing that just aren't getting any results for them. They're just dead ends or they're all fluff. So go ahead and see if you can help them figure out how to manage their schedule better so that they can get the most bang for their buck. And then illusion. Illusion happens when we have a belief that we need to know all the steps to get from where we are now to where we want to be. But that's not absolutely necessary. You don't need to be the one to know all the steps. Instead, what you want to do is shift from focusing on resources, because the resources are always there. You might just not know where they are, and instead, go ahead and see how resourceful you can be. Small shift, but it changes the whole game, and that resistance of wanting to know all the steps, that goes ahead and it melts away. And then finally, influence. Because some athletes want to know if they can influence their outcome. If they do something now, does it make a difference later on? And this goes back to whether they have a growth outcome or a fixed mindset. Because people with a fixed mindset look at something and say, it's already a sealed deal. No matter what I do, it doesn't really matter. Whereas athletes with a growth mindset says, if I can't do it, then I'm going to find someone to show me how to do it, and I'm going to go ahead and figure it out. So these are the things that you want to do to use as your checklist to help motivate athletes to win. And what's really cool is committed athletes, they have a clear vision, personally meaningful, very specific objections. They've come up with a specific challenge and they know the benefits of doing it. And they know as a coach, you're on their team. So these top three right here, vision, meaning, and outcome, are the most critical when you feel that someone's not fully committed. You want to go ahead and look at those three things first. Now, here's your challenge. Go ahead and review your athletes and take them through the checklist. You doing it about them and where they're at, and let them self-assess themselves as well. And go ahead and use a rating scale of 1 to 10. 1 is very low motivation on a particular point. 10 is they're totally dialed in. So once you do that, add them all up, and if one of your athletes has a 75 or under, that means that they can go ahead and amp up their results a little bit better. Where do they need a little bit more motivation? Where can you coach them to really see things in a different way? Because if they're under 75, they're not as likely to hit their milestones for the season as the ones that they've set. They're not going to give it their best. And the other thing is to look at when someone has poor results, a lot of times it stems around a specific belief. And those beliefs, well, they affect their actions. And what you want to do as a coach, help them to identify those areas of resistance, those obstacles, and then to be able to turn that negative into a positive by reframing their perspective. I'd love to hear a comment from you of what you've taken away from this, how you're going to use it to help motivate your athletes or even yourself. Please go ahead and post a comment and then hit the likes button. Pass it forward. Please share this information with the people that you know. If you're interested in the 7 essential steps to winning, go to my website, expertsportsperformance.com, put your name and email address in the upper right-hand corner. Immediately, you'll get the first of the video training series. My mission is to show you how to stay cool when the heat is on. Lauren Fogelman, expertsportsperformance.com.